This is the full spectrum laser cutter. This is where we have it situated in room 302. You'll see that it is positioned on top of a cabinet with casters on it, so it rolls around. It can roll out of the way. Right now it's in front of the big hood, the vent hood, which will pull off any gas and smoke out of the right out of the room, which we're going to need because as it burns material, it obviously puts off gas. Yeah, so if students need to use the hood for something else, this thing will just roll out of the way. Now, the other reason why this is in a large cabinet is because not only does the laser cutter have to run, but we also need to run a vent from the back of the laser cutter, and we have to run a water pump to cool the system. So I'm going to try and do this without making it too shaky. But if we open up this cabinet here and here, we'll see that the laser cutter underneath inside this cabinet, everything to run the laser cutter is housed. So we have our computer on the right, and above the computer you see the power strip. When you turn that on, everything turns on. So the water pump turns on, the exhaust hookup turns on, so that you make sure that as soon as this thing is on, you can't run it without running one of these other things and damage the system. So that 5-gallon bucket to the left has a water pump in it and a tube that runs up and pumps water to the laser cutter so that it is cooled by the water. So it's like a water cooling system. And then it pipes up into the laser cutter, into the actual laser tube we'll look at in a second. And then also running into this power strip along with the computer is the vent. So we'll look at the vent too. So this copper vent tube here runs around into this vent fan that automatically turns on when you power up the power strip, and that blows the exhaust out forward, and then this big hood vent takes care of the rest of it. So you actually do have to turn the big hood vent on once you get the machine up and running, and that's really easy. There's a switch to the side here. You'll see it right there. That switch will turn the hood on. Okay, as far as parts of the laser cutter goes, there's a little screen here where you can set things up and calibrate it. This has already been done, so this is nothing that you have to touch. There's a quick shut off. This is important. If something's going wrong or there's something on fire, you can hit this button down and it will shut the machine off. Twist it to turn it back on. There's a cover, obviously, and this cover, if we look right here, there's a little magnet sensor. So if this opens up at any time, it will break that connection and the laser will shut off. So we'll open up the plexiglass cover, and this is primarily the guts of the laser cutter. You'll see there's a hole in the back where the exhaust vent goes out. The big tube in back is the actual laser. So it starts here, and you see it runs like this. The water gets pumped inside of it. Oftentimes when you turn the pump on, you'll see a few air bubbles working their way through. And what happens is this laser fires a laser. It hits this mirror, reflects down to this mirror, reflects over to the mirror here, and then down to, if you see it over here, it's kind of yellow, the focal lens. And then that's where it really pinpoints in and creates burning. Now that laser is actually invisible, so what else they have on this machine is a small laser pointer, which is this right here, just like a laser pointer in a classroom or at an office or anything like that to show presentations. This laser pointer hits this mirror. This mirror is a double mirror which allows the laser through, but it hits this mirror, bounces off, and travels with the invisible laser so that you can actually see where your laser is going to burn. So that's pretty interesting too. So this little guy here, based on some servo motors, will move left and right, front and back, and that will give all the action it needs to cut out the shapes and designs that you make, or left and right, back and forth to burn in any type of laser engraving. One more component I'll show you while we're here, before we fire up the computer, are these two little blocks. And these two little blocks I keep in this machine at all times so they do not get lost. They are the perfect size for high school students to take and throw around, so they stay in here. And these have to do with the focal lenses. Right now we have a 2-inch focal lens on this machine. We also have the ability to put a 2.5-inch focal lens on the machine, but we are not using this. So this stays over here. And this allows us to determine the specific height of the laser when we're cutting a material. So that bottom of that silver cylinder will rest on your material, and then you will raise and lower your lens so that it rests perfectly on there. And we know now that that is the perfect height for the most power. The focused lens and laser will be right there, the height of this. So when you're done, this goes in the corner of the machine there. It won't get touched by anything, and it will stay safe in there. So that's the laser machine. That's the computer and the setup that it's in. I'm going to turn it on right now. It's probably going to get loud, so we might cut that for the rest of the computer sound. In the next video, we're going to go over using the actual computer to get what we need. Underneath here is the on-off switch. So I'm actually going to turn it on right now, and you'll see it fire up. So there we go. The water pump's going. Maybe we'll see some bubbles go through the laser. Maybe not. And now it's officially on.